What up, YouTube? Is this your boy, the Visionary? Welcome to another episode of Fireside Chats, bringing you the latest in current events and issues that matter to me the most. Today's topic: Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman verdict and the aftermath. As you all know, the final verdict of the Trayvon Martin George Zimmerman case was just revealed, and George Zimmerman was found not guilty. For those of you who do not know, more or less you probably do, but just to go over the facts, George Zimmerman, was a gentleman who lived in Florida. He had started a neighborhood watch program because the place where he lived was being robbed nonstop, and the crime rate went up. So as he was patrolling one night, he came across Trayvon Martin. He did not recognize him. He called the cops to let them know that there was a strange fellow walking around, right? And after he called it in, he decided to follow the kid while he was still on the phone. So as he was giving a description of the kid and following the kid to make sure he wasn't up to anything, he hung up, and there was an altercation that happened between George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. And the story picks up where witnesses are looking at the altercation where Trayvon Martin is on top of Zimmerman and he's beating the hell out of him. And Zimmerman, not able to defend himself against the attack, pulled out his gun and shot the kid. He ends up dead. The cops come. They do a routine search of the place, look for clues, take his account of the story, and after that, they basically allow him to walk free, and they take the kid's body and put him away. So, as Zimmerman is basically walking around free for the next couple of months, the story itself picks up national, it gets into the national news and the media, and because of the public outcry, Zimmerman gets arrested and put on trial. So as the trial goes on, evidence comes out, witnesses are put on the stand, and it turns out that, okay, they basically allow Zimmerman to go free. Now, after the case happened, there was a big outcry in the sense that people still think George Zimmerman is guilty. My own opinion of this case is that he was innocent, but the reason why he was innocent is basic law. And a lot of people, especially minorities, African Americans and Hispanics, don't understand the law. First off, they bring up the whole stand your ground law. He was not tried on stand your ground. He was tried on basic self-defense. Period. Now, basic self-defense, or using lethal force and basic self-defense, is like this. Basic self-defense is you can only use equal or lesser force to protect or defend yourself from a force. Period. If a person is using deadly force and you have the ability to escape, or AKA the duty to retreat, then and only then you should escape, period. But if you do not have the duty, if you cannot fulfill the duty to retreat, basically if there's no way for you to escape and the person that's attacking you is using lethal force, or you're presuming that they're going to use lethal force, you can or are allowed to use lethal force against them. Now, if you're looking at the case and you go from the beginning to the end, where, okay, Zimmerman was driving around because he's part of community watch, and he started it himself, and as he's driving around, he sees Trayvon Martin walking around in a hoodie with candy and Skittles or whatever the hell it was, and he does not recognize the kid. Yet there was a rash of crime or robberies or break-ins in his neighborhood. The crime went up, and all the perps were seen to be black. And you don't know this guy. You see him walking around. He seems strange. He's out of place. You go, you know what? I'm gonna call this in because I don't know who this guy is. Yada yada yada. So he calls it in. He talks to the dispatcher. The dispatcher's like, yo, give me a description of the person. He says, oh, the guy's black. He's wearing a hoodie. Yada yada yada. So he decides, you know what? I'm just gonna make sure I know where he's going, just in case the cops come, right? So after that happens, he decides to follow the kid while he's still on the phone. So after that, the dispatcher says, well, we're going to ask you not to do that, which is basically a suggestion. He says, whatever, I'm going to follow him anyway, just make sure to know where he is. The kid runs off because he notices he's being followed. Zimmerman gets out the car and follows him. After that happens, he hangs up the phone, and we don't know what the interaction was between Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman. So the story picks up where there's witnesses seeing a scuffle between Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman, where Zimmerman's on bottom and Trayvon's on top, and Trayvon's beating the crap out of him. Now, as this is happening, Zimmerman is all bloody. He's getting his head bashed into the ground. His nose is all messed up. He's coughing up blood or whatever it is, and he can't get out of the assault. So he pulls out his gun and shoots Trayvon Martin. Now, if you're applying basic self-defense to this particular issue, if you're in a fight and someone is beating you to hell, beating the shit out of you and you cannot fulfill your duty to retreat, aka the fact that he was on his back and Trayvon Martin was beating the shit out of him or using what they call in MMA ground and pound, then only can I understand a person using lethal force to protect their life if they felt that their life was in danger. Because if you're getting fucked up and there's no way for you to defend yourself from that type of assault, you can't break free from that shit, then, rest assured that I can understand if you say, I'm going to pull out my gun and shoot the person, period. Because you do not know if this person is just going to stop beating the shit out of you at all, period. Let's ignore what Zimmerman said, the dialogue that he gave in court, saying, Martin said, yo, what do you follow me for? He says, oh, do you have a problem? Zimmerman says, no, I don't have a problem. And the Trayvon goes, oh, now you have a problem. And he lunged at him, punches him in the face, and blah, blah. Let's ignore that for a second, right? Let's ignore that whatever you want to call that bullshit, right? Keep in mind that I do agree with the court's decision that he was innocent given the law. Understanding the law, you can still see with the evidence in terms of listening to the phone call, looking at the evidence in terms of the wounds that were found on Trayvon's body versus Zimmerman. Zimmerman's face is all fucked up, but Trayvon had no wounds in his body except for the gunshot wounds and the marks on his fist from beating the crap out of Zimmerman. Period. Given that evidence and given the testimony of the people, there's no way you can say that Zimmerman was guilty of murder. And murder is the actual act of killing someone with intent, with malicious intent. And the whole case was built off the fact that, Zimmerman was a racist, profiler, prejudiced, and he was hunting him down and blah. Stop your bullshit. If you actually watch the case, which most African Americans did not fucking watch the case, you'll realize when they did the character evidence, when they basically go into your past and see what type of person you are, you'll realize, Zimmerman wasn't like a bad guy. He was a fucking Hispanic, had a black business partner, tutored minority kids, shit like that. You know what I mean? It's like the guy was the furthest thing from racism, so that's the entire purpose of the case, because they're trying to build the case off of, look, this guy is racist, he's prejudiced, ergo, that's what led him to hunt Trayvon, to, quote unquote, hunt Trayvon Martin down and murder, quote unquote, murder him in cold blood. Bullshit. All that is that's public media hyping of the situation. They're trying to build up racial tensions to start a fucking race war, in my opinion, in order to fucking distract people. Because there's so many ways that you can spin this story to the point where there's so many things you can do. For instance, the fact that, number one, the story was hyped up as a race conflict between a white guy and a black guy, which is bullshit. Zimmerman is a fucking Americanized Hispanic. That's all he is. He's a Spanish guy. That's what the fuck he is. He's Hispanic. He's not white. But the media goes, oh, this white guy and killed this unarmed black man, blah, blah, blah. You know what's going to happen? It's the Pavlov effect. The Pavlov effect basically is, hey, black people and other minorities, see? The white man is trying to get you. They're trying to kill you. Yada, 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 yada. You know what to do. You know what to do. What happens? Black people and Hispanics, they get all up in arms not knowing the full scope and facts of the case. Most of the motherfuckers didn't even watch the fucking case. And then what do? They react to the shit. They react without fucking thinking like fucking monkeys, and that's what the fuck happens. Without looking at the facts of the case, without looking at the actual implication of what's going on. And even before the verdict came out, there were a rash of race attacks between blacks and whites, and guards, and more or less blacks attacking whites. On purpose doing bad shit. Because, this is revenge for Trayvon Martin. Are you fucking serious? The motherfucker isn't white. He's a fucking Hispanic. Are you serious? This shit happened. Look it the fuck up. Now, ask yourself, why would the media kick up racial tensions between blacks and whites in this case? When, obviously, if you watch the case and look at all the facts and all the evidence, you'll realize it was nothing more than a misunderstanding that turned fatal. Why is that? Well, let's look at what's happening in the country now. Number one, the economy's falling apart. If you actually look around, you go to Detroit. Detroit just filed for bankruptcy. And there are other states that are actually falling into bankruptcy, but they're not really talking about it. So we have a collapsing economy that's going to be turning... We have a collapsing economy that's turning into a part-time economy. And what that means is that because of Obama's health care bill, a lot of big businesses, a lot of companies, a lot of firms basically said, we can't afford full-time workers. So what we're going to do to afford to pay or to cover the expense of actually, providing health care, we're going to fire most of our full-time workers and keep a skeleton crew, and then we're going to go to actual, temp agencies, and we're going to say, listen, we need you to hire a good 20, 30, 40, 50 temps for our company, and we're only going to have them work 3 or 4 months out of the year, period. And you know what that does? That basically says, you know what? There's the population of fully employed people will drop literally to half because of the fact that the Obama healthcare bill said, yo, you know what? We're going to put this big-ass charge on you, this big mandate, and you're going to have to follow it. The business is going to go, you know what? I'm going to fire most of my fucking full-time employees and hire part-time employees. Then I don't have to worry about fulfilling that mandate. Gee, look at the ripple effects of what this motherfucker shit is doing. And I looked at it and I was like, yo, I was all happy that it got passed and all this other shit. And then I'm seeing all the ripple effects of what that bill does. So that's what's happening. So now you have the economy that's collapsing and turning into a part-time economy. The death of the Constitution, all the laws that are being passed, the NDAA, the NDRA, National Defense Resource Preparedness Act, National Defense NDA, National Defense Authorization Act, the CISPA, SOPA, what else? Food Safety Modernization Act, Monsanto Protection Act. All these laws that are unconstitutional and destroying the Constitution are, partly reasons why I would think someone might say, you know what, we might want to distract these motherfuckers from actually paying attention to what's really going on. Then you have the scandals, the big scandals. Oh, you have, let's start with the beginning. You have the Fast and Furious. You have the NSA spying program. Then you have the Snowden leaks. Then you have the AP. Then you have the actual AP phone hacking scandal where the White House is fucking hacking into the AP news source to find out who the fuck their sources are. What else is there? Oh, then you have the IRS scandal where the motherfuckers are actually going after conservative right-wing, conservative Christian, pro-life fucking groups or constitutionalists. It just doesn't stop. So many scandals, so many illegal fucking scandals. And it's like, as you're seeing this happening, you start to realize that the sheep or the animals on the animal farm are starting to look at the farm and be like, yo, we see what the fuck you're doing, and people are starting to wake up. Then all of a sudden, oh my god, Trayvon Martin case. Oh, you need to focus on that. Because now it's white people. We need to fuck with the system. No, you need to look at the administration, the people that's fucking with shit. That case, the entire shit was designed on purpose with the specific purpose of distracting people from what the fuck is going on. It was made to, number one, distract you from what's going on. Number two, to stir up racial tensions so that you'll be more inclined to focus on white people or white people against black people. And when shit hits the fan, all that animosity will be directed against the wrong fucking people. Period. It's the perfect divide. It's the perfect, divide and conquer strategy. Period. There's other issues too. Oh, the whole stand your ground. Now the movement itself, after the verdict, is starting to morph into we need to talk about stand your ground. We need to repeal that. We need to push that shit back. Why? Stand your ground was not the issue in this particular situation at all. Well, no, it was not the issue. Why are you even looking at stand your ground? It was basic self-defense. Period. But now the public debate, now the public discourse, as the movement is picking up steam, as Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and Eric Holder is throwing his weight into the mix, because it's like, why is it that the Department of Justice, or aka Eric Holder, is sitting down having a powwow with Al Sharpton on how to amp up tension with the protests, or how to move forward with the protests to pick up steam? Why are you giving him pointers? You're not supposed to be doing that. This is an issue that was already decided by the courts, number one. Number two, you should have this is not even a federal case. Why the fuck are you even saying anything about this? No one's asking the questions. No one is paying attention. So it's basically a two-pronged attack. Number one, it's a carefully crafted distraction to keep you from actually looking at the administration, all the corruption that's going on in the White House and in the State Department, and what they're doing domestically as well as internationally. And number two, it's a method of divide and conquer, to put white men against black people, to stir up all those racial tensions that are happening between the races, in order to basically go, you know what, we're going to have you fighting, so when shit goes down, you're going to be so preoccupied by fighting each other, instead of, coming together and actually going, these motherfuckers are the ones who are doing it, so we need to, focus on them. That's my opinion on the Trayvon Martin George Zimmerman verdict. Give me your opinions. Post, like, subscribe, or whatever. I don't know what the trinity of what people say to get them to say stuff, but I want to hear your opinions on this. Like, seriously, I do. All right, peace.